Alright, to begin construction, go ahead and lay the circuit board out in front of you with all your power and tap connections to the left. You're going to be looking at it as if this was the front of the light bar. And this does matter because the patterns on this end are different than the ones on this end. This is going to be for your red, white, and blue, or red and blue. 3 reds we recommended here, 2 white, and 3 blue here. And on the back, 1 blue, 6 yellow or orange, and 1 red. So if you go ahead and bend your LED legs as if they were going to go in the hole, here we have one that I haven't bent and clipped yet. There's the positive, so I'm going to want to make sure that this is facing back. Simply put it in a pair of pliers and bend them down. Try and get it at a good 90. Should come out with something looking like that. And then you're ready to clip it off just enough to where the legs will fall into the circuit board and not go through the bottom. And next you're ready to solder them all on there. And once they're all soldered on, you're ready to test the board, make sure all of the LEDs work. So go ahead and take your wires here, strip off about a 1/16 of an inch, and these aren't marked on the bottom, but you are going to need to put the wires in on the bottom side. So make sure you have your positive and negative connections correct, and S1 is for one of your tap control buttons, and S2 is for the other tap control button. And be sure not to apply any power to these tap control channels right here. You could damage the board by doing so. So if you have those on, strip off about a 1/8 of an inch on the end of the wire here, and then grab a 9-volt. Just hook it up temporarily and make sure all of the LEDs are in working condition. Alright, next grab your clear cases. What we're going to have to do is modify these to where they can fit on top of the bar. They do have 2 edge areas right here you're going to need to remove with a Dremel. And if you wanted to make it really nice and clean, one end has a spot on it and the other one doesn't. So you can remove the 2 inner edges that have spots on them with a Dremel. Just enough. If you go in at an angle right here and go as far as you can this way, and same reverse that direction, you should come up with something that looks like this. You do that for both cases. Set them down, make sure that you had a pretty even cut on both of them, and then you can set them on the board and make sure it's going to fit inside there. Alright, the bolts provided with the kit are just a tad oversized for the pre-drilled holes on the circuit board. So grab your lenses, hold the board in the center, take a 3/32 drill bit, carefully drill the holes, and just enough to mark spots on the lenses. Okay, once you got the 4 holes drilled, take your X-Acto to remove any extra shavings you have on the holes here or on the circuit board. And to keep these on the same location, just with a Sharpie, mark which one goes on the wire side. Just if you want to, put a W on the top here. That way they will be where they originally were from whenever you drilled the holes. And then take, I recommend some Super 33 Plus Scotch vinyl electrical tape, and take a piece just long enough to go over the LEDs so it will be protecting the back side of them. It should lay just across the top of them, not go on the front. Take your sleeve of circuit board heat shrink and put it over the whole circuit board. Okay, next, with a heat gun, seal the heat shrink. Alright, next you're going to need to make all of the LEDs visible by cutting them out with an X-Acto knife. Just start at the top corners of each one, pull a slice down, go down on the bottom, and then do the top last. Alright, now once all 16 have been cut, you're ready for a test fit. And while you're at it, another battery test would be a good idea. Alright, now once you've done that, you're ready to apply the adhesive label on the top. So go ahead and cut it before you put it on and have a little, or actually no or less overhang, because it'll peel up in the long run if you do. Just wipe the surface and go ahead and apply that on there. And if you have a hand drill like this one here, it's made from a line, good tool to have. It comes in very handy for drilling the holes out right here by hand. And this will also go through the heat shrink on the circuit board as well. Once you've done that, then you can apply your silver vinyl, and those holes that you just made will be visible, and you can go through them real quickly on the silver vinyl. Just press it until you find them. And these don't have to be perfect. The washers are going to cover them, so just enough to get the bolt through will be great. So with your silver vinyl on and trimmed, it's time to secure the board to the bars. So go ahead and put one bolt through with washer, and then go ahead and put one washer on the bottom, and just one nut. Should be able to hold it just with your fingers and secure it down. Not too much, you can crack the lenses. Just nice and snug. And then mounting it to the roof is quite simple. Just go ahead and put one nut on each of the 4 bolts and one washer. If you've already marked holes in the roof, go ahead and drop it down in there, and from the bottom side finish it up with the last washer and the last nut, and then you can adjust the height and everything else. Alright, for the final steps, we're going to apply the 9-volt battery snap, the slide switch, the tap buttons. But before you do any of that, go ahead and put on about 1 inch of heat shrink over here and seal that up. And then you're going to need to figure out where you're going to put the slide switch on the battery on the positive wire. So say you're going to do it right here. You cut it in the middle. This wire goes back to that tab. This wire goes to this tab, or that way. That doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is do not use the negative wire anywhere on this slide switch. It's only for the positive cable. Alright, and once that's said and done, you can use some of the zip tie to hold it together. Make sure you have those sealed with heat shrink. You got your heat shrink here, ready to go over the positive and negative wires. And same thing with the tap buttons. Tap buttons are momentary tap switches. There is no positive or negative on these, so it doesn't matter, just as long as you use 2 from one wire and don't cross these 2 wires at all. That's S1 and S2 from the board. Alright, for testing, go ahead and hook up your 9-volt battery. Slide the slide switch. Make sure all of them are working. Grab one of the tap buttons. Touch it once. This will be for the front. Options are pretty much the same as the other boards. If you single tap, changes the pattern. Double tap slows it down. 9 speeds. Gets slower as you go. You can hold it down until 2 LEDs flash to turn off just this side, and then you will have just the traffic advisor on the rear working, and then you can change the patterns on it by itself. So, single tap will turn this back on. It's still on fast speed there. Slow this down a little bit. And now you can also put it on cycle mode by holding it down until 3 flash. Now it will cycle through the patterns. There's 10 on the front and 10 on the back. The ones on the rear are designed for traffic advisors. So they have sweepers, chasers, followers, couple strobes. So there you have it, the 10th scale Or, well, it can range between maybe 8th scale to 14th scale. It's 4 inches wide by 1 inch deep and about a 1/4 inch thick. And you can adjust the height here with the double nuts and double washers. So, that be it.